welcome back. Took a week off, but we're here with the newest and latest and greatest edition of the Nerd Out.
Nerd Out 2026.
Your host, Lyle.
I am Jack. Still here.
We are excited to be here to begin 2026.
Begin 2026.
Living joyfully. Living Joy was the sermon title last night.
Yes. I'm also
And
living in
there's also
joy today, just highlighting the fact 6 Super Bowls, and we actually have a chance to be in it. I gotta do that right.
Not just a chance. You are in it.
We're in it. Although our team limped in. Your team soared in.
Still number 2, though.
The Patriots.
At least we're back in it. It's nice to finally see some success
this
again.
playoff season.
Absolutely.
So, and you limped in at 4 a.m. from Passion.
It was actually 5, probably like 5:15.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Drove all night from Dallas.
We did, yeah. The way there, I drove the whole 15 plus hours that it took. Well, we weren't on the road all of that, but on the way back, I only did about 4.5 hours. So
good.
It was good.
That's
but
the beauty of college trips.
Also didn't really sleep, so.
Oh.
But it was worth it. If you've never been a part of Passion or aren't familiar with Passion, just go to passion2026.com. You can sign up, actually. All of the sessions that our young people got to participate in they were blown away. It was awesome. But you can check it out. All the sessions are there till the end of the month. Would recommend it. Even just watching it, you can kind of get a glimpse of what it's like to be there. But excited to see kind of the fruits from this. And what we'll see in the next couple months. And
I got to see all the reels and stuff that came from it, and peek in on a couple sessions online and stuff. But was praying for you all and ecstatic that 10 of our folks got to be a part of that.
Yeah,
45,000 college students worshiping Jesus.
Pretty amazing.
Pretty sweet.
All right. Let's get to some takeaways.
Do it.
Living Joy. Here's the takeaways from this past Sunday sermon. Number 1. Joy is a spiritual nutrient. Our brains are designed by God to run on joy like a car runs on fuel. 2, joy is relational. It's transmitted face-to-face, especially through the eyes, also through the voice, and joy cannot exist outside of relationship. Our third takeaway is God's face shines on you. The priestly blessing in Numbers reveals God's posture toward you is not disappointment, but delight. 4, joy creates belonging. When people sense we're genuinely glad that they are present, it creates space for authentic community. And lastly, number 5, gratitude grows joy. Practicing thankfulness literally rewires our brains and increases our joy capacity. I think that was for me, just sitting there as we're praying to wrap things up before, as the band's out, get ready to sing. Really the thing that I was hearing was, in 2026, what would it look like? How would it affect us individually? And what would the cumulative effect that be for our church if we were to make 2026 a year where we fought for joy and we fought to increase our capacity for joy and really thought through how do we increase our capacity for joy?
I think that would be a great goal to have that will not only benefit each individual, but will benefit, because there's something about joy that radiates out. Like when you're around joyful people, and we always joke that there's the people that are half glass or the glass half empty, and they're kind of a bummer. They're the Eeyores of life, and I'm the realist, and blah, blah, blah. And this isn't saying, okay, you got to be the extrovert and like Joy from, what's that movie? Inside Out. Yeah. So who's always up and always that. That's the difference in a biblical standpoint from joy and happiness. Yeah. Although happiness and the pursuit of happiness, which even goes back to like our Constitution and that type of thing, happiness, it seems so circumstantial, but it's not only circumstantial in the sense that it's a pursuit of really joy. They are kind of interchangeable in that sense, but joy has a way, what we didn't get to unpack was joy has a way of attaching to the other main emotions that we all experience.
Right.
And
Something, if you've watched the Nerd Out frequently, you've heard us talk about joy being the supra emotion.
yeah,
In the sense that it is able to attach to the other kind of big six negative feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which remind me with the,
Well, let's see if we
is
can
it
get it.
grief,
So it's anger,
anger,
shame,
shame,
sadness, disgust, despair, and disgust, despair, anger, shame, fear.
fear. Yep.
So anger, sadness, disgust, despair, shame, fear.
And that actually, when you watch the movie Inside Out, they really did a great job
Right.
from a mental understanding of how our brain works.
Right.
And so it's cartoon, but it's actually a lot of scientific truth to it.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting throughout to me, again, it's the fresh reminder of what I mentioned, Dr. David Ferguson is what it poured into me from a relational theology side, which is what this book is kind of getting at. The other half of church is don't just focus on the rational side of your brain, the left side, left hemisphere, logical side. As a disciple, work on the relational side, the right hemisphere as well. And you want to grow both. That's how you grow into the fullness measure of Christ that Paul writes about in Ephesians.
Because if we think about the right brain, it's not just relational. It's
Correct.
relational side. It's the emotional side. It's the safety side. It's the side that controls or processes identity.
Yeah.
It's the side that reacts.
Individual identity, group identity. Yeah.
It controls all of our reactions as well. So, yeah, just so thinking about that, increasing the capacity for joy. Just off the top of your head, how could we look at increasing our capacity for joy, or what steps do we need to take to begin this battle to fight for joy in what we do? And like maybe what does that look like in your past?
Yeah. I joked about this a little bit last night in the sense that if you want to increase the longevity of your life, smile more. That literally studies have shown that that kids smile like close to 400 times a day. Now, again, there may be other kids that don't fit within the bell curve of all that.
Right.
But I'm just going, man, I want to make sure, like, I don't know if our church knows this. Every Sunday, I hide little Jesus figurines, 5 of them, around the church campus, inside the church building, outside in the courtyard, all that. I do that for kids. You may not even know that happens, but it happens. And part of the reason I started doing that 6 months ago was I just wanted to see smiles on kids' faces when they run up and find it. And it's funny that they come to me to show me that they found it. But I think it brings me joy just to see kids smile. So in a practical sense, I just want to make sure that I spend more time with kids. And so that increases my joy capacity. I think making sure that I'm trying to express my joy to others so that I can hopefully reciprocally experience the joy in return. And so I don't want glumness to mark my identity or my existence. I would like to be more joyful. And that doesn't mean to ignore the hardships of life or the heartaches of life, because joy can attach to all those emotions that we all navigate. And then it brings us to a deeper sense of God's presence with us. So again, that number's blessing from number 6. It's God's face shines upon us, which the author talks about in the book, that there's other translations. Depending on what translation you use, NIV I use a lot. I know you use ESV a lot, New Living Translation, Christian Standard Bible or version. I use CSV or CSB. But different translations translate different words. So there's one like Psalm 89 he writes about in the book, talks about blessed are those who walk in the light of the presence of the Lord. When in Hebrew it literally says in the light of the presence of the face of the Lord. So sometimes the translations have changed it to try to bring clarity, but the Hebrew language is such a pictorial language that that the face of the Lord, like, you know, when someone's looking at you with delight, like you see it in their eyes, you see it in their face, you hear it in their voice.
Mhm.
And I think that's what the original writers of Scripture were trying to help God's people see,
Right.
is that God's face is turned in their direction. And
Right.
so many of us have grown up with some distortions of how you picture God, how you view God, that he's that cosmic cop who's just out to bust you, or disinterested at all in you. And so he's walked away, just like some other people in your life have walked away, or he's distracted. He's runs the universe, didn't have time for you. And yet, what we see here in the blessing that Aaron's commanded to say, "No, when you speak my name over my people," which was more than just an announcement. It was, I'm putting my name on you. I want them to know my face is turned in their direction. I want to give them peace and rest, and so to actually have that rewire our brains and how we see how God sees us.
Right.
So
Right. And it's, I mean, we didn't even get into just this definition of joy. It doesn't,
yeah,
it's not like a Christian came up with this definition.
no,
There's a guy who's kind of considered the Einstein of neuroscience, modern neuroscience, named
hmm
Dr. Alan Shore. This is his definition.
hmm
This is his research of how our brains develop, that joy is a critical component.
hmm
That when we talk about the very root level of our brain, we're looking for attachments, and that joy is what lights up the attachment
right,
center and creates attachment in a healthy way.
yeah. He talks about it as being a joy bond, which we all know. We can see it instinctively when you are around a brand new baby.
Right.
And again, no one's grumpy around a baby. Like, your eyes light up. You're trying to be overly enthusiastic and joyful, because babies are cute and adorable, and they're so innocent, and like it's life in its purest form and without taintedness, even though there's brokenness.
Right. Right.
And you're ecstatic about it. And that bond that happens there. And we recognize in the sad case of either orphanages or kids that have been abandoned or like the void of that and the effects that has in a neurological way, in a physical way, emotional way, and psychological way upon kids who don't get that growing up, and the damage that creates. And so
Is
we
one of
want
the
to
deepest tragedies.
oh
Like when
deepest tragedy.
when you hear the stories of
Yeah.
how that research has uncovered that.
Yep. And so brain science is just uncovering what God's already always known.
Yeah.
And that joy is meant to be a part of each relationship, one-on-one, and a community that becomes a gospel-centered community that we want to be,
Right.
and foster and cultivate as disciples of Jesus.
Absolutely. Yeah. So talking about left-brained, right-brained approaches in church, that, the last 300 years in particular, the way we do church here in America,
Mhm.
it's very left-brain dominant.
Yeah.
We don't focus much on that right-brain side.
Coming a
And
lot
you-
from
you
the
kind of-
influence of enlightenment.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you kind of reference that there's this rational knowledge that we have over God, but maybe we miss out on the relational connection with Him. What do you think, getting that balance right, how does that transform our spiritual life?
I think, the adage has often been, "Oh, Christianity is about a relationship, not a religion." That's been the tag that people have used. And I think when we focus on not just the rational side, knowing information, but the relational side, understanding God's joy over me, how He wants to interact with me, how He wants to interact with us, and how He's at work within us, one to another. I think it opens up the idea again that, yeah, this really is a relationship and not a religion of just dogma and duties, and but it is, I am to relate to the creator of the heavens and the earth, and he actually wants to relate with me. And so when I read scripture, it's not just reading words on a page, it's reading the author who authored that, protected it, preserved it, so that I would see him for who he really is. And I would begin to know him and relate with him the
Yeah.
way he wants to be related to and the way he's inviting me to relate with him. And
So with what you're saying there, just I'm about relationship, not religion. Like that's that common thing. Do you feel that there's a tendency that the people who say that are really focusing in on how they relate to God and wanting to relate to him in the way that they want to relate to him?
Yeah.
Versus learning to understand how God has taken significant steps already to reveal how he relates to us. Like it's almost like we want to relate to him just in the way that we want to.
We want to mold him.
To use him or to mold him into the image we want him to be, and we miss out on who he really is. And that's, is that the balance then of the rational and relational, or I don't know, what do you?
It's kind of like a teeter-totter. If you remember being on one when you were a kid, and someone would push up on one side, it would lower the other side, and so you'd always try to get to equilibrium and be balanced where your feet are off the ground together. I don't know if there's ever a perfect balance. So it may be that in certain seasons of your life, it is that hunger for knowledge and that hunger to know the things and to look at what Scripture actually says, and then maybe there might be other seasons in life where it's like, okay, I know this stuff, but it's not helping me relate with God and actually sense his face turn to my direction and the way he wants to relate. And so I want to focus on that. I think that's part of the journey I've mentioned a few times that I'm trying to work on, just being more contemplative as a person over the last 10, 12 years. And I think that's because I'm trying to work on the relating side of sitting with Scripture and sitting in silence and solitude and just trying to be with God and not try to get something from him or to learn something about him, though that is helpful. And so I just don't want to miss out on the relating side. The same way that when you sit with Anya, it's not just, okay, give me your information from today. Or if I sit with Amy, it's not just, okay, give me the litany of everything you did today. It's I'm trying to relate with you. I'm trying to enter into how that impacted you and hear the fear in your voice or the frustration in your voice or the joy in what you got to experience or the heartache of what you had to endure. So there's the old passage, not old, well, it's all old, of where Jesus says, Peter, James, and John, hey, come pray with me. My heart is anguished right before he's going to the cross. Would you just pray? And then he goes off a few steps further, comes back, and they've fallen asleep. And he's like, could you not even pray for an hour? And have you ever just sat and just thought about what that must have felt like for Jesus? Like his three best buddies couldn't even stay awake for an hour as he's literally sweating drops of blood, like capillaries bursting in his forehead and because of the stress and the weight of the moment. And his three best buds fall asleep on him and what that would have been like. And gosh, how have I done that? Yeah, heck yeah, I have. Where I've just bailed or gotten too weak. Flesh is willing, or the spirit's willing, the flesh is weak. Statement is what he makes in that moment of maybe the moments where I've let Jesus down, and just to relate that not in a sense of shame or guilt and I'm horrible, but in an awareness of, gosh, I have disappointed you. Like you've experienced disappointment the same way that I've experienced disappointment. And to understand God relates with me to that depth is it grows intimacy when you sit with that for a little while. That's one example.
Sure. Well, one of the things you talked about last night, which this is kind of an interesting transition based on what you just said. So you said God is the most joyous being ever.
He is.
Quoting Dallas Willard, of course. How might our spiritual lives change if we were to truly believe that God is truly the most joyful being ever? Not just joyful in general, but joyful over us. Because Zephaniah 3, was it 19, how it talks about how he's singing over his people with joy.
Yep. That was the life verse we have for our third born that we picked. And so Zephaniah 3:17.
3:17, yeah.
Yeah. What I thought of that quote when I was reading from Dallas Willard, Divine Conspiracy, talks about, gosh, God enjoys this. He was at this, the edge of the sea in Port Elizabeth, Australia or South Africa, and overrun. And just that this is one scene out of millions across the world, or that God gets to see on a continual basis, like all of it from every angle and every depth. So there's a store in Phoenix called Shields. It's a sports store. And what I thought of when he was thinking about, okay, we buy a tank and we have fish that swim around and we're mesmerized by their movement and the colors, but yet it's one little tank. And if you go into this Shields store, they have a, I don't know, 500-gallon tank that you can actually walk underneath and around, and kids are always captivated by the beauty of all these hundreds of fish that are in there. And yet it's an incredible display of aquarium type thing, like those professional people that build aquariums. I think they're out of Vegas, in people's homes. They do this for Shields. And yet God has seas upon seas of this, and he gets to see it all the time.
What exists in deep, deep darkness, God divinely sees.
Yes.
And appreciates.
Stuff that we've never gotten to see at the deepest parts of the ocean, he gets to enjoy all the time. And so every sunset, there was the story of a guy who saved up his money to go see his uncle, 80-year-old uncle. They were in Scotland and they're on the coast, and they go for a walk early in the morning, and his uncle just kind of stares off as the sun begins to rise, and they stop and they're silent for 20 minutes. And then his uncle just starts skipping down the beach, and he catches up to his uncle and he's like, "You seem real happy. Why?" And he goes, "The Father is pleased with me." And just to realize, gosh, every sunrise, every sunset, God sees that all the time, all around every continent, all the beauty of each continent, all the beauty of things that we've never even discovered or seen, or very few footprints have gone, he gets to experience. And so C.S. Lewis, who said, joy is a serious business of heaven, or what Willard talks about, of just like this inexhaustible reality of the joys of the world that he gets to see. And we have bucket list trips, and you just got to have another bucket list moment at Passion, which I'm sure was exhilarating in so many ways. And yet it's so minuscule to the amount of joy that God gets to experience. And therefore joy is the very core of his identity. It's not something he has to muster up, where we feel like sometimes I got to go on a vacation to get joy, which, you know what? You can get joy on a vacation, so go for it. Right. But there's a shelf life to that, and it will run out at some point, and you'll need another one or another jolt. And yet God never runs out of joy.
Yeah, I think it's a profound thing to realize, and I'm going to look at the camera specifically to recognize that you were made to experience joy, and you were made to experience the joy that God has over you. Like that's the importance of, like, that's why we're here.
Yeah. Is
to enjoy God forever.
Yep.
And to live with the knowledge that he enjoys us, that he created us for purpose. Like there's a reason to your life being here. And how interesting is it that we spend so much time trying to understand how God relates to us? What if we just focused on how we can better relate to God in this way? That if God's the most joyful being, what if we sought to learn, how do I relate to you through your joy?
Right.
Man, what would that change? That's just an interesting
And maybe
thought.
that's the prayer you can pray going into 2026 is, God, your joy is on display all around. Would you just help me to catch more glimpses of what brings you joy? Whether that's kids playing, whether that's a joyful interaction and connection that's happening as a friend meets up another friend at a coffee shop, and you get to peer in on, man, those people they must really like each other because they're high-fiving and hugging, and like we need more of that in our world. I saw a wavy guy again today driving in, and I was like, oh, I should turn around. And I was like, no, Lyle's waiting for me to film. And so tomorrow, I think I have a moment. If I see him again, I'm going to pull over, try to find out his name, because there he is, waving on the side of the road. And I waved back as big as I could in the truck at 58 miles an hour. But I'm like, gosh, we need more people like that guy who does that. And I hope maybe I could get better the older I get. Because here's what I don't want. I don't want to grow old and grumpy. I know too many people who grow old and grumpy is not a spiritual gift. So, if joy is a spiritual gift, I want to get better at joy. Yeah.
One of the things that was, I thought, important, you emphasized joy doesn't exist outside of relationship, that it's something that is primarily translated through the face, that it can be translated through the voice too.
Yeah.
And yet the data's there that, okay, face, audio, cool, let's do FaceTime. And yet the studies were there that the brain does not even come close to lighting up the same way it does when there's face-to-face interaction versus interaction through a screen.
Yep.
So you emphasize this, that we need joy, and the only way we're going to get is in relationship, through face-to-face interactions, through what we speak to each other. So in our digital age, how can we be more intentional about having face-to-face joy-filled interactions? And what would you say might be some practical steps that a person can start to take this week to bring more joy into their relationships?
I think that's there's so much beauty of what technology brings in our world. You're watching this on technology, so I'm going to smile. So glad that you're here.
It's like 6 down, 394 more to go.
Yeah. But the reality, I got to step up my quota for today. But there's only so much pixels can do. That's what the data says. And so I guess don't get lost in the pixel world that is so much pushed on you. Enjoy it, utilize it, engage in it, but don't get lost in it. And
learn to limit it.
Because it will limit you if you
in the
don't.
same way that we limit our intake of sugar. Like we don't just eat ice cream all day long.
Right.
And if
Though
we do,
that would be fun.
If we did, it would be real bad for our body.
Correct.
We can't do that.
You would not like
and expect
yourself
to live
tomorrow.
long.
Correct.
In the same way that we can't expect to be spiritually healthy.
So maybe for some of you, it's, hey, you know what? If I'm not part of an e-group or a small group, you need to get in one, just so you have some person-to-person contact, face-to-face, and not just lost in a pixel world. If for some of you, maybe you're so much you work at home because you work from home, and it's easy to do everything digital and get lost in all that. And maybe your goal this year is to say, you know what, I'm gonna make a standing coffee meeting with a friend once a week, and because I don't do that. So what would it look like to begin to push yourself to do that? And so find ways that you can get in front of other people. I think that's why church matters and church attendance in person matters. Technology is awesome, and if you got to miss or you're traveling or you're sick, great. Dial in, tune in, but don't let that become the norm, because we miss out. You miss out, and we miss out on you being there in your joyful presence. And that's why joy is expressed and experienced, and we need both. And that happens best person to person, face to face.
Well, case in point, that's the difference between I've shown of the 10 students, young adults that came to Passion with me this past week. I've shown them plenty of videos over the last couple of years of things that happened at Passion, from Passion to the sermons. There's such a difference between watching, like you were able to on the live stream, and being in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you're in the room.
In the room where it happens.
It's different. It's different in a significant way. That's what we want you to experience. That's what we want our times of corporate worship to be. Yeah.
Yep.
So, just trying to think, because I know we're a little limited on time here today. You said, how does the idea that our brains, you talked about our brains being designed to run on joy like a car runs on fuel. Same authors in other places, I've seen him say joy is jet fuel for the brain, like, or rocket fuel even. Like, that's how important it is. How does the idea that our brains are designed to run on joy in the way a car runs on fuel, how does that challenge the way that maybe we've managed our emotional and spiritual health?
Good question.
Like, maybe in today's age, we've been fighting for what this thing says about me and my identity, that we can make our identity all about our struggles, where we're almost imprisoned to that. And yet, if our brain is designed to run on this, like a car is designed to run on fuel, does this just reinforce the fact that we must fight for joy?
I think we not only have to fight for it, we have to fight to focus to attain it and to generate it, and to live into it. Because you're right. I think, especially in our therapeutic world, which there's a lot of benefit to that and a lot of good that's come to mental health from that. But often, if we're honest, some people can say, hey, I struggle with XYZ, whatever, or I had XYZ done to me. And we almost wear that as a badge. Like, this is my identity because I had XYZ happen to me, or I've had to go through.
We weaponize it so that people relate to us in the way that we think they should.
Correct. And maybe to counter the pull of that, the gravitational pull that's maybe downward, or could be downward in that, maybe we need to counterbalance that back to that teeter-totter with a focus on joy, of what would it look like to do a word study on joy and read all the places in the scripture that talk about it, to say, God, I want to experience more of your joy. I want to be a person that's more joyous. And so, yeah, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I don't want to be Eeyore. I don't want to be
Negative Nancy.
Yeah. Or all the other adjectives we could put to people's names. I don't want to be a Karen, Sorry, Karen. But how do I get better at joy? And maybe for some of you, you need help coaching with that. And so here would be my challenge to you. Find people who are in our church or in your world, your network, who are joyous, and just watch them and go, okay, I'm going to coach myself by watching you. You don't have to tell them you're watching them, but you're just trying to learn, how do they do that? Like, why are they so joyous? Why is that it kind of radiate from them? And then how can I be in their orbit a little bit more? And how can I begin to maybe reflect on that a little bit? And how can I let that rub off on me? And so find some people that model that well. And
ask them, what's the source of that? What helps keep them grounded in making that a reality in their life?
And again, fighting for joy is not ignoring the reality of the hardships of life. So I was going to read that quote.
I feel like it's like actually owning the hardships of life. Owning that that's what they are, that's why it's a fight.
Yep. William Culbertson, I ended the sermon with this quote. I think it's fitting to tie into where we are. I find that discipleship means first truly living, does not mean a joyride to heaven, and does not mean that there are no trials or no burdens, but it does mean peace in your soul and joy in your heart, and a supreme sense of the smile of the Lord upon you. Like, what would it look like to begin to live this year with God smiles at me? He's not frowning. He may be disappointed in certain moments when I make dumb decisions or I do things that are counter to what he has said is true or what's best. But he still smiles because he likes being with me. He likes having me around. That's the prodigal son story that Jesus tells and says, you want to know what God's really like? He's like this. And he tells this story of this patriarchal father who would hike up his robe and run to a son who wished him dead. And then the son tries to give a speech and he shuts down the speech and he just brings the sandals and the robe and the ring, throws a feast and says, my son is home. And the son doesn't even get to give his speech that he's prepared because he's a son. And The delight is there.
God's not looking for the perfect apology from us.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the best apology you can give to God is, gosh, I'm sorry. And then shut up.
Yeah.
You don't have to give a speech.
If repentance is the action of turning away and
Correct.
turning toward,
Coming home.
that's what does that say about the face of God? It's not turned away from us, but God delights when we finally turn our face back to him.
Yep. That's the relational key. And I think that's what helps the relationship.
Yeah.
Is that I can look into the face of God because the face of God is already looking at me.
Right.
So as I read the Bible, am I looking into the face of God? As I live my life, am I looking into the face of God? Or am I trying to hide my actions or hide my demeanor? Yeah. Healthy people seek out God. Unhealthy people hide.
Right.
There you go.
Was there anything you had to cut? Anything you wanted to?
The story of the uncle, I weave that in. I don't know if, no, I think you're going to hit at some of the stuff that comes out. This is a great book. I guess maybe that would be the recommendation again. If this is of interest, this piques your interest, go get The Other Half of Church and read that this year.
Yeah. Well, as we close out, we'll give you a couple points of application, just maybe some things you could focus on this week. So here's the challenge. Maybe pick two of the things I'm about to share and see, can you take two of these things and try to make them a serious business in your life? So number one's the smile challenge. We talked about smiling more. So set a goal to smile genuinely, minimum time of 30 times per day this week.
Do it. That's
more,
a good goal.
if you can.
I'm going to do that one.
And pay attention to how that affects your mood and the responses that you receive from others as you do that. Mm-hmm. Option 2, the gratitude journal. You said the cheapest therapy, maybe the cheapest therapy you can get is to just write 3 things you're grateful for each day.
At the end of each day. Yeah.
And behind me, there was some audible when that happened. So the gratitude journal. So how do we count our blessings, like you talked about, daily as a form of spiritual discipline? So each evening before bed, write down 3 specific things that you're grateful for that day and be as specific as possible. So not just be thankful for your family, but be thankful for maybe the way that my daughter laughed at dinner or the way that my partner looked at me and greeted me when I came home. Think of specific things that
that's the key.
Gave you a little bit of gratitude or made you feel grateful that day. The third one, face-to-face connection. So instead of texting or calling, meet at least one friend face-to-face this week for coffee or for a meal. Practice being fully present. So put your phone away, set on Do Not Disturb. Let your face show that you're glad to be with that person.
Yeah.
Option 4, the Wavy Guy Initiative. Identify one person in your regular routine, maybe a barista, a coworker, a neighbor, someone at the gym who you typically ignore or barely acknowledge. But this week, greet them with a genuine smile and seek to learn their name.
Yeah.
And the last option, number 5, the priestly blessing prayer. So each morning this week, pray numbers 6, 24 through 26 over yourself and ask God to help you see his face shining on you, and then pray that over someone else in your life. So just to close out, I think it would be appropriate.
Those are great.
And we got to finish this out. But
Great applications.
just to give you the blessing, this is what God said. When we put his name on you, as you go out this week, as you seek to encounter what it means that his face is turned toward you, that his face lights up to see you when your face turns back toward him. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine on you, be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Have a great week, my friends.
Bless you.